I never thought I'd see Jim Jordan turn on Kash Patel. 3 minutes ago, in front of 17 cameras and a packed hearing room, the man who has defended this administration through everything looked the FBI director in the eye and asked the question nobody expected him to ask. Where are the Epstein files, Director Patel? Because you told this committee they'd be released. You told the American people they'd be released, and I'm sitting here 8 months later and I don't see them. So where are they? The room went silent, and Patel's face told everyone watching exactly what they needed to know. He'd been caught. Let me back up. House Judiciary Committee, Oversight Hearing. Jim Jordan in the chairman's seat, which usually means friendly territory for anyone connected to the administration. Jordan has spent years defending Trump, defending his appointees, defending the FBI under Patel's leadership. He's been a loyal soldier. So when he started today's hearing with the Epstein files, everyone assumed it was theater, a chance for Patel to talk about transparency, a chance for Republicans to contrast this administration with previous ones, softball questions, easy answers, good clips for the evening news. That's not what happened. Jordan opened his folder, and I noticed it was thick, which is unusual for him during these friendly hearings, and pulled out a piece of paper. Director Patel, I want to read something back to you. This is from your testimony before this committee on January 23rd of this year. He put on his reading glasses. Jordan doesn't usually do that. He likes to make eye contact, likes to play to the cameras. The glasses meant he wanted precision, wanted to get every word right. You said, and I quote, "The FBI is committed to full transparency regarding the Epstein investigation. We will release all documents that are not subject to ongoing investigative restrictions within 90 days. The American people deserve to know the truth, and this administration will deliver it." He looked up. That was 8 months ago, Director. Where are the files? Here's where it got interesting. Patel started with his usual response, the one he's given 100 times, the one that usually works. Chairman Jordan, as I've explained in previous testimony, the document release process involves multiple agencies, classification reviews, and legal considerations that— I didn't ask about the process. Jordan cut him off. Jordan never cuts off friendly witnesses. Never. I asked where the files are. You said 90 days. It's been 8 months. That's not a process question. That's a math question. Patel blinked. You could see him recalculating. This wasn't the script. Jordan was supposed to lob softballs, not fastballs. Chairman, I understand your frustration, and I share it, but the complexity of these documents— The complexity? Jordan pulled out another paper. Director, I have here a letter from the National Archives dated 6 months ago. It says, and I quote, "All documents responsive to the committee's request have been reviewed and cleared for release. We await FBI authorization to proceed." He held up the letter. 6 months ago, Director. The archives said they were ready. They were waiting for you. So what happened? This is the moment Patel's face changed. I've watched him in dozens of hearings. I know his tells. When he's confident, he leans back slightly. When he's deflecting, he tilts his head. When he's lying, his right hand moves toward the table edge. His right hand moved toward the table edge. Chairman, that letter doesn't reflect the full picture. There are additional considerations that the archives wasn't privy to. Like what? I'm not at liberty to discuss specific classification concerns in open session. Then let's discuss them in closed session. Right now, I'll clear the room. Patel's jaw tightened. He hadn't expected that. Jordan was calling his bluff. Chairman, I don't think that's necessary. I think it is. Jordan leaned forward. Director Patel, I've defended you. I've defended this administration. I've gone on television and told the American people that you were different, that you were going to bring transparency to the FBI, that you were going to release the Epstein files and finally give the victims and their families the truth. He paused. I put my credibility on the line for you, and right now, you're making me look like a liar. The room was completely still. I've covered Congress for 15 years. I've never seen a chairman talk to a friendly witness like that. Never. This wasn't oversight. This was confrontation. This was Jim Jordan publicly questioning whether Kash Patel had lied to him, and by extension, to the entire committee. Patel tried to recover. Chairman, I assure you, the FBI's commitment to transparency is absolute. We have released more documents related to Epstein than any previous administration. That's not true. Jordan held up another document. According to the FBI's own disclosure log, you've released 847 pages related to Epstein. The Obama administration released over 2,000. The Bush administration released 1,400 after the initial investigation. You've released less than half of what previous administrations released, and you've been promising full transparency for 8 months. He dropped the paper on the desk. So I'm going to ask you again, Director Patel, and I want a real answer this time. Not talking points, not deflection. Where are the Epstein files? 20 seconds of silence. In congressional hearings, 20 seconds is forever. It's an eternity. It's the witness telling everyone in the room that they either don't have an answer or can't give one without incriminating themselves. Patel sat there. You could see his mind working. His lawyers, 3 of them sitting behind him, weren't passing notes. They had nothing. This wasn't a scenario they'd prepared for. Finally, he spoke. Chairman, I believe there may have been miscommunication about the timeline and scope of document releases. I'd like to request a brief recess to consult with my staff and provide the committee with a more complete picture. Jordan stared at him. A recess. Yes, Chairman. Director Patel, you've had 8 months to prepare for this hearing. 8 months to get your story straight. And now, when I ask you a simple question about where the documents are, you need a recess? He shook his head. Request denied. Answer the question. Here's where Patel made his fatal mistake. He tried to pivot, tried to change the subject, tried to turn this into a partisan issue. Chairman, I find it concerning that there seems to be more interest in process questions than in the substantive work the FBI is doing to— Don't. Jordan's voice was sharp. Don't try to turn this around. Don't try to make this about Democrats or the media or anyone else. This is about you. You sat in that chair 8 months ago and promised the American people that they would see the Epstein files. You said 90 days. You lied. The word hung in the air. Lied. Jordan had called the FBI director a liar. On camera, on the record, in a public hearing. Chairman, I take exception to that characterization. Then prove me wrong. Tell me where the files are. Tell me why the National Archives has been waiting 6 months for your authorization. Tell me why you've released less than half of what previous administrations released while claiming to be the most transparent FBI in history. He waited. Go ahead, Director. I'm listening. Patel had nothing. You could see it. That moment when someone realizes there's no exit, no clever answer, no deflection that will work. He'd been caught in a lie by the one person he thought would never call him on it. Chairman, I will commit to providing this committee with a full accounting of the document release timeline within 48 hours. That's not an answer. It's the best I can provide at this moment. Jordan leaned back, took off his glasses, rubbed his eyes. The gesture of a man who's just realized he's been played for a fool. Director Patel, let me tell you what's going to happen. This committee is going to subpoena every document related to the Epstein investigation, every email about the release process, every memo about classification decisions, everything. He looked directly at Patel. And if I find out that you've been deliberately withholding these documents, if I find out that you lied to this committee, I will personally call for your resignation. I don't care who appointed you. I don't care whose side you're supposed to be on. I care about the truth. And right now, Director, you're not giving it to me. The hearing continued after that. Other members asked other questions, but everyone knew what had just happened. Jim Jordan had publicly accused the FBI director of lying about the Epstein files, had threatened to subpoena documents, had threatened to call for his resignation. From the chairman of the committee, from one of the administration's most loyal defenders. This wasn't a Democratic attack. This wasn't partisan politics. This was a Republican on live television saying that Kash Patel had broken his promise to the American people. Within minutes, the clip was everywhere. Conservative media was in chaos. Some outlets were trying to spin it as tough oversight. Others were already turning on Patel. The hashtag #, "Where are the files?" was trending before Jordan had even gavelled the hearing to a close. I've been thinking about why this matters. The Epstein files aren't just documents. They represent something deeper. They represent the promise that this administration made, that they would be different, that they would bring transparency, that they would finally expose the powerful people who were connected to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. For 8 months, Patel has been trading on that promise, using it to deflect criticism, using it to claim moral high ground. "We're going to release everything," he kept saying. "Just wait, the truth is coming." And now, Jim Jordan, the last person anyone expected to call him out, has exposed that promise as a lie. Not a miscommunication, not a delay, a lie. 90 days, Patel said. 90 days. It's been 8 months, and the National Archives has been sitting on cleared documents for 6 of those months, waiting for FBI authorization that never came. Why? That's the question everyone is asking now. Why would Patel promise transparency and then block the very documents he promised to release? What's in those files that he doesn't want people to see? Who is he protecting? I don't have answers, not yet, but I know this. Something broke today. The alliance between Jordan and Patel, between the committee and the FBI, between the promises and the reality, something fundamental cracked. And once these things crack, they don't heal. Jordan gave Patel 48 hours to provide answers, 48 hours to explain why he lied, 48 hours before the subpoenas start flying and the real investigation begins. I don't think Patel has answers. I don't think he can explain. I think he made promises he never intended to keep, and today he got caught. The clip is still spreading, the questions are still mounting, and somewhere in FBI headquarters, Kash Patel is probably realizing that the person he thought was his greatest ally just became his biggest problem. 3 minutes. That's all it took for Jim Jordan to expose 8 months of lies, to ask the question that Patel couldn't answer, to say the word that everyone was thinking but nobody expected to hear from him: liar. The chairman called the FBI director a liar, and the worst part? He was right.